Hey everyone, Jeremy J here. Here we are once again to talk about a life subject. Tonight's subject is live your life like a sculptor. What is a sculptor? Well, a sculptor is a person who creates things, creates shapes and figurines and other things from a block of something, a block of ice, a block of wood, rock. There's my cat Dido. So, for those of you, we're going to distract from this video for a second. For those of you who don't know, I'm going to get her for you. As I have this cat Dido, and she got lost a little while ago. There she is. Say hi, Dido, to the camera. All right. And she got lost a couple months ago now after the time of this video. And she's gone for just over a month. I handed out flyers in my neighborhood. I called animal shelters. I went around with her cat food, calling her name at night like a crazy old man. And I'm sure the neighbors thought I was crazy. Luckily, no one called the cops, so I can still be here to do this video. But she was found by someone across the street, and I went and got her, and she meowed her head off at me. And now she craves affection from me, where before she got lost, she kind of just ignored me and didn't give a shit about me. So isn't that interesting that her time away changed her demeanor toward me? Well, she appreciates the warmth, because it was the wintertime when she was lost, so she appreciates the warmth now and all these things. So that's my cat Dido. Back to the subject at hand, being a sculptor. Why even talk about being a sculptor? Well, I look at life, if you're going to live your life as someone who seeks growth, who seeks greater understanding, enlightenment, happiness, all these things, you have to treat yourself like you are sculpting yourself. And as you sculpt yourself and you chisel away, like think of yourself as a block, like a block of ice. Like a good example of this is the movie Groundhog Day. Hey Dido. A good example of this is the movie Groundhog Day. There's a scene where Phil Connors, he had several years, probably a lot more than that, of living the same day over and over, and as part of that time he taught himself to ice sculpt. And so he's ice sculpting this woman who is the woman he's seeing, and it's a very good sculpture, and it's cool. And think of yourself like that, like you're taking a chisel to you day by day, and sometimes you might whack yourself a little too hard and go backwards, and that's fine, like that happens. But as you chisel yourself, think of you becoming a better version of yourself, taking away the cruft that stands in the way of your best self. And what are some examples of this? Well, for me, I like to go out to public places and just test myself. Test your might. Like there's a Mortal Kombat song called Test Your Might. And for me, that test is going out on my own and approaching strangers and talking to them and overcoming the fear of an initial approach with someone and striking up a conversation and offering value to that person. It's incredibly challenging. It's hard. I can see why not everyone does it. But to me, doing that, I'm sculpting myself. I'm becoming someone who can create conversations and interaction with strangers and people I don't know. And that's incredibly satisfying. I was extremely shy when I was younger in high school, and even for a while after that. Just terrified of talking, especially being in a group, but talking to women especially. I was just utterly terrified. And now I'm less terrified. Doesn't mean I'm not terrified at all anymore, but I'm less terrified. So I've sculpted myself in the area of confidence. So I'm increasing confidence by doing this over and over. Anything you do over and over, you start to gain some certainty with, some level of predictability with, and predictability creates confidence. There's other areas, the physical body. So I'm working out a lot right now. This is good. I'm going to the gym, pushing weight hard. I'm running, I'm doing yoga. All these things are good. And so in a sense, I'm sculpting my physical body to take the form that it is now. Like I feel very good. I feel energetic, it makes it easier to handle life's challenges. So that's another way to sculpt yourself, is your physical body. You sculpt yourself through the input that you give yourself through the things you read. I'm reading a book called The Power of Now, King, Warrior, Magician, Lover, and there's a third one, The Game by Neil Strauss. It talks about his journey in the world of pickup, cold approach pickup, one of my favorite subjects. And you sculpt yourself by taking in information and the experiences of others. Why does that sculpt you? Well, I think it helps you become a more valuable person because you have more to draw upon. Think of yourself like a construction worker or a builder, and you have tools, and you start out in life having no tools, but then maybe you get a hammer, some screwdrivers, some nails, a saw, chainsaw, and pickaxe, like whatever. Like you start to build up this tool set. And a person, in my case a man, who has an extensive tool set as a metaphor, is someone who's gained a lot of knowledge and experience. And anytime he's talking to someone, he can draw upon something he already knows to add value to that person he's talking to. And I think that's sculpting to be a better version of yourself. You know more, and therefore you can give more. You can provide more to others, and then that extends to whoever those people interact with. So you sculpt to then provide more for others. What's another way you sculpt yourself? I think emotional stability is a big one. In the last year and a half-ish, I've gone on a ton of dates. I wrote a book about my first 50 of those. I've gone on more since then. And through that experience of trying to set up dates and experience rejection, being flaked on, being ghosted, having all these things happen, they're hard at first, and I'm not even saying they're easy now, but they're hard at first, and you lose your center and your strength. But as you do it more and it happens more, you can kind of see it and you're like, okay, there's another one. And you're less thrown off by it. It doesn't mean that it's not hard or that it's right that the other person does that, but you're more equipped to deal with it. It's just like in the gym lifting weights. You pump enough weight, that weight starts to become easy. Like if I used to bench press the bar, for instance, right now, it'd be too easy. But for some people, it's really hard. And so you start to be able to handle more, and that spills over into other areas of your life. Like for me, I work at a job in a corporation, and I had a challenging project the last few days that I had to work 20 hours straight at my job. 20 hours straight's a long time to work, and not one time during that was I freaking out or stressed out. I just kind of knew what had to be done, and I did it, and it was fine. Great, I did this thing. Whereas a few years ago that would have been a lot harder. I wouldn't have been as equipped emotionally to deal with such a looming pressure of a deadline, and we met the deadline for the project just barely, and that was great. Awesome. What else? I think as people, you as a person, greater happiness is done when you are working on yourself. When you're striving for things, when you're seeking to give value to others or interact with others or whatever it is, when you're more engaged in this thing called life, I feel like there's greater happiness. The alternative is to do nothing and just kind of sit and waste. That's not really a recipe for happiness. Self-sculpting is one of the hardest things I've ever done. It's tireless, slow, very slow, tireless, at least for me. It's very slow and tireless work, trying to become stronger emotionally, keeping my physical body strong, dealing with life's challenges, trying to become more of a man than I am already. It's hard work. It's really hard work, and sometimes I regress a little, but I feel like overall I'm headed in the right direction. Not perfect by any means, but isn't that the point of life, is to experience it and experience the imperfections. And that's what makes us all who we are. So think of yourself as a sculptor. You are sculpting yourself. And take action through the books you read, the interactions you have. Like, one way to sculpt yourself is to just talk to a lot of strangers, people you don't know, in the mall, at a bar, at a social event, at a workshop, whatever it is. Just do it. It's fun and it challenges you. It forces your mind to think and grow and expand to meet that situation. And it makes for a happier life. You're now inserting yourself into life as a contributor, and I think that's valuable personally, because you're giving of your time and whatever you have in you to those you're talking to. I think that's valuable. So be a sculptor. Chisel yourself. And I think you'll find happiness and fulfillment in life. And it's hard. It's hard. Well, that's okay. Do it anyway. Thanks so much for watching. This is Jeremy J. signing off. See you in the next video.